is historian and former advisor to two U.S. presidents, Doug Wead. Good to see you. Good to have you back.
Hi, Trish.
Look, it seems as though they're digging and digging and digging. And I'm going to ask you why. What is it that they really think is there when we've heard already from James Comey that the president wasn't under investigation?
Yeah, it's political. You know, I was in the green room last night here at Fox and visiting with Jay Sekulow, and very confident there's no legal problem for the president at all. That's true, but the problem is it's not about violating the law. It's about politics. And, you know, Henry David Thoreau said it's not what you look at, it's what you see. So they turn a political person like Mueller, who got his position because Comey got fired. Comey himself said he triggered it with a leak because he was mad. He got fired. Now you got Mueller. Mueller hires Jeannie Rhee, who was legal representative for the Clinton Foundation, who gave $5,400 to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. She's going to investigate Trump. No wonder he's surrounded. Andrew McCabe, who's now running the FBI, is a Democrat whose wife got $700,000 in campaign donations and who investigated Hillary and found her innocent. And as he pointed out in his tweet, it's the man who told him to fire Comey's now investigating him.
So you're saying there are a lot of people there in the government itself that don't want Donald Trump in the White House, and so they're willing to just dig and dig and dig, even if there's nothing really to dig for. They want to find something. And the thing is, Doug, walk us through the danger of this, in that, you know, once you start one of these investigations, you run the risk, or at least Donald Trump's administration runs the risk, that somewhere along the way someone tripped up doing something that may have nothing to do with the original thing that they were investigating. And is that the fear?
That's exactly right. And, you know, you and I have talked about this earlier, that came from the Middle Ages. The king would say, who owns that property next to the river there? I'd like that. Oh, the Regan family, Trish Regan and her family. So they bring your family in and they torture you, and you give up your secrets and you're prosecuted and they take your land. That's why the Fifth Amendment, I refuse to answer on the grounds that it might incriminate me. Because anybody, if they zero in on you, anybody, they can find something. So the president's attorneys are saying, hey, you haven't done anything wrong, you're fine. I'm saying, hey, this isn't about law, this is about politics, and they can find something if they've got the national media behind them, they've got some big Wall Street firms behind them, they can find something. So it's a dangerous, the president's isolated right now, in my opinion.
Is there anything you would advise him to do? In other words, if he had gone into this and said, look, I get it, it's a swamp and I want to drain it, but I've got to play this little game in some ways along the way, and I'm no fan of the Cuba policy. You saw that just now. I think he could have gone a lot further or not done anything at all. But is that an example of trying to play this game? In other words, there are people with very vested interests, and there's a lot of money at stake there in Washington, lobbyists working overtime. And do you think if he had gone in and been perhaps a little more subtle or been willing to play ball with some of these folks, that it would be a less hostile environment for him?
I don't think so. I mean, you make a good point. His best strategy now is to try to hold the Democrats, and he's doing that with his tweets, to hold them to the standard they're trying to impose on him. If he can investigate them for the crimes they've committed, maybe they'll stop investigating him for the crimes he didn't commit, and that's why he's poking on Hillary.
You got to give him credit, right? Initially, he said, "Look, I'm not gonna go down that path with Hillary Clinton." Once he won, he said, "You know, we don't need to do that." And the risk of doing that, frankly, Doug, is you turn yourself into a banana republic, where, you know, whoever is new coming in basically sends the old one to jail. Well, now we run that risk, do we not? If we're out there looking for things that don't seem, and I'm all about finding the truth here, and if something bad happened, we need to know about it. But I think thus far, there hasn't been a lot of evidence to lead us to think that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians in some kind of Manchurian candidate kind of way.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, France went through a period like this where one party would get in power, they'd arrest all the judges and throw them in jail. They'd arrest the executives of the television networks, the media people, and throw them in jail on one charge or another. Then the next party would get in and they'd reverse it, let them all out of jail and throw the other side into jail. It was crippling to French society. The problem for us in America, we've entered what I describe as a post-constitutional era, where the Constitution, we were told, is a breathing document, it's flexible. Well, the Constitution is not abstract art, it's law. So when you say the Constitution is flexible, you're saying the law is flexible, and that allows sanctuary cities, allows some people to break the law, but it allows you also to be creative in prosecuting people you don't like.
Scary time.
Scary time.
Thank you so much. Good to have you here.